Welcome again to our YouTube channel, Bold and Faithful Perspective. Ordained ministry is one of the most demanding and challenging jobs. It is emotionally challenging. It is mentally draining. The ordained persons, the clergy, balance their own faith with ministry. They balance their own well-being with ministry. They balance their own families with ministry. They balance their faith, their well-being, their families with ministry in doing all the work they do, offering spiritual guidance, officiating in liturgies and ceremonies, and being good stewards of the goods of the church. They experience immense pressure in their work. They experience immense pressure in their work, in all the responsibilities they take up. Hence, this pressure, these responsibilities often lead to some stress and burnouts. And both physical and emotional health. And even they suffer sometimes even from mental struggles. We have to remember and understand that these clergy persons are human beings. They also carry personal burdens. And these personal burdens sometimes interfere with the ministry, hence the clergy stress even becomes all-time high. We have to acknowledge that the clergy stress exists. And this clergy stress must be addressed. Clergy trauma ought to be addressed or needs to be addressed in order to safeguard the well-being of clergy, in order to safeguard the vitality of the communities that they serve, and the future of the church. That to safeguard the well-being of the clergy themselves, this clergy stress must be addressed, and the clergy trauma must be addressed in order also to safeguard the well-being of the communities and the future of the church. There is need for necessary training of the clergy and equipping the clergy with the skills on how to navigate priestly challenges. That there is a necessity in our society today. There is a necessity to train the clergy and equip them with the skills on how to navigate priestly challenges. Some priests have learned how to navigate these priestly challenges through experience. They have learned through a hard way. They have learned how to navigate personal issues, personal struggles, personal well-being with their calling, with ministry in the hard way. But these challenges must be addressed, stress and trauma. In general, clergy stress stems from, for example, congregant judgments. It also stems from their colleagues, from their superiors, and also personal issues. Clergy stress is indeed very unique. It's unique in nature and intensity. It is unique in nature and its intensity. Why is it unique in nature and intensity? It's because it is compounded by emotional and spiritual burdens that the clergy bear while serving the faithful community or the faith community. That their stress is unique in nature and intensity. Why? Because it is compounded by emotional and spiritual burdens the clergy bear while serving the faith communities. The key factors that contribute to the heightened stress in the clergy include 1. Emotional and spiritual demands. Emotional and spiritual demands of their ministry. Emotional and spiritual demands of their ministry. And also in their own personal life, their emotional and spiritual well-being. That's the first one. Emotional and spiritual demands, both of their community and themselves. Number 2, long hours of work. The clergy may work the whole day, and at night they can be in for sick calls, anointings, going out to visit the sick, long hours of work. The clergy generally work 24/7. This also can bring some sort of stress because they are working all through. Long hours of work. Also, number 3, financial strain. Financial strain both in the ministry, in the communities they serve, and also in their own pockets. The communities are struggling financially. They have to think for the community. They have to think for the parish. They have to think for the faith community. They have to raise funds for various developments. They have to raise funds for various ministries. And also they have to have also funds for their own use. Financial strain in their faith communities. How the faith communities are struggling, and they have to raise all these funds, and at the same time they have also to be stable in individual capacity. Number 4, isolation and loneliness. Some priests sometimes feel isolated. They feel lonely. As they dedicate themselves to the ministry, they are away from their families, away even from some friends, and they have to work. Some are even missionaries away from their own countries. Isolation and loneliness. They have to find a way to deal with isolation and loneliness. I can tell you, I've learned through a hard way also. Number 5, congregational expectations and criticisms. Congregational expectations and criticisms. Whether it's positive criticism or negative criticism, there's expectations of the congregation. They expect a lot from the priests, and the priests also struggle to meet those expectations. And they listen to all these criticisms that come from the congregation and from very many other people, and they want to do the best they can. And this comes with a stress of its own kind. 6, personal challenges and spiritual development. Stress can also arise from their own personal challenges and spiritual development. 7, personal health and addictions. Personal health and addictions. They are human beings. They suffer from personal health. They have their own addictions also. Somebody is a workaholic. That's an addiction. Somebody is working too much, does not know when to stop. Somebody is addicted to ministry, that taking away ministry from him is like you are killing him. Some even do not spare time for their own time and self-care. They don't spare time even for their own vacations. They want to be present, they want to minister, they want to work. That's the kind of addiction some have. Working too much, workaholics. The clergy, as individuals, they bring their own talents, their own gifts. They also bring their own burdens, and they bring their own challenges into ministry. They bring gifts, talents, challenges, burdens. They bring all these into their own ministry. They bring their backgrounds and culture. And all this background and culture contribute positively or negatively to the stress in the ministry. Their background, their culture, their upbringing, whatever they come with, the talents, the burdens, everything they come with may contribute positively or negatively in the stress in ministry. We have to agree that prolonged stress in the clergy leads to burnout. And what's burnout? Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion. You are exhausted emotionally, physically, mentally. That makes one or makes it difficult for one to continue working. It becomes very difficult for one to continue working when you are emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted. This is why clergy are at a very high risk of mental health challenges such as depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. That's why we see clergy in a very high risk of mental challenges, mental health challenges, such as depression, anxiety, and substance abuse, or addictions as one would call them. And this may happen mostly because the stigma surrounding mental health issues further makes the priest isolate themselves and prevent themselves from seeking help. The stigma surrounding mental health issues makes them not seek help, makes them not go out and find help. They isolate themselves instead. Many clergy are reluctant in addressing their own struggles. They are reluctant in addressing their own struggles because they feel the need to maintain and to image or to give an image of strength and invulnerability, that they are not vulnerable. They want to present. They see that need to maintain and present the image of strength and invulnerability in their ministry, in everything that they do. And this leads to impaired ministry. The ministry gets impaired. That even when they know they are going through issues, they are reluctant in addressing their own struggles because they want to maintain and show or present an image of strength and invulnerability. They don't want to be seen as vulnerable. They want to be seen as strong. They don't want to be seen as weak. They want to show the image of strength and invulnerability. And this leads to impaired ministry. There is need to equip our clergy with skills skills on stress management, spiritual and physical practices for self-care. The priest must be equipped with the skills on stress management, skills on spiritual and physical practices for self-care. Self-care for priests must be important, must be emphasized, that be equipped with the skills of stress management, spiritual and physical practices for self-care for themselves. They have to be given the skills or to be equipped with the skills on emotional intelligence and compassionate listening. That they have to be equipped with the skills on emotional intelligence and compassionate listening without entangling their own emotions in people's experiences. That means to know how to navigate their own emotions and those of others. In order to navigate their own emotions and those of others without being entangled in people's spiritual experiences, in people's lives experiences, they be able to navigate through their own emotions and the emotions of others without getting entangled. To be equipped with skills on how to maintain a healthy balance between ministry and personal life. To maintain a healthy balance between their ministry and personal life. There must be an effort to reduce stigma or to destigmatize mental health, to reduce or to remove stigma from mental health issues, and encourage access to mental health resources. To work against stigma on mental health issues and encourage access to mental health resources. Clergy are human beings. They are not angels that are fallen from heaven. They are human beings who are serving others in challenging world, in the contemporary world with all things that are happening within it. They are advocates, and they ought to continue being advocates and gatekeepers for spiritual, mental, and physical health, not only for themselves, but also for their congregants. So they have to advocate and be good gatekeepers for spiritual, mental, and physical health, not only for themselves, but also for their congregants. They must not only stop at making all these things available to their congregants, but also with themselves. Clergy well-being is not a luxury. It is essential for the health and the thriving of the church and faith. Clergy well-being is not a luxury. It is essential for the health and thriving of the church and faith. Therefore, let us learn to accept the clergy or our ordained ministers as human beings who also face challenges, both personal and ministerial, in their line of service. They also need all the tools that they can have all the tools necessary for self-care and care for others. They need all this help. They need all the tools that are necessary for self-care and to care for others and for their congregants, for their communities, for their ministries. So today I tried to talk about clergy stress. That indeed we have to accept that it exists, and there is need to understand that human beings are the ones who become priests, and they face all these challenges, and we need to deal with it. We need to understand. We need also to help them to navigate through all these challenges in order to minister and be fruitful in their ministry. May God bless you and embrace you. See you again.